Hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about how to update the firmware on your mBot. I know that topic probably doesn't seem all that pertinent, but one thing that happens with your mBot is that it comes pre-coded with and that pre-coding allows you to control your mBot with the remote control that comes with the mBot. If you start uploading your code using the process we've shown you on uploading Arduino, it overwrites and disables the ability for you to use or manipulate your mBot using the remote control or directly within this environment. So one thing you might need to do is, if you want to go back to controlling your mBot with the remote control, you need to go to Update Firmware once you've connected your robot to the mBot coding environment. Once you've done that, you go to Update Firmware and you can choose to update two different forms of firmware. The first update will allow you to control the robot directly from within the mBot or mBot coding environment. The second update will allow you to update it for the infrared remote control that comes with the mBot. I'll just show quickly how to update that. So you click on the IR remote. You have to be patient for a second because it does take kind of a second to go through. It now overwrites any code that's within your mBot and resets this back to the factory default. So when you update the firmware for IR or the infrared remote, what that does is it puts it exactly back to the way you got it when you first unboxed it. And this will allow you to be able to use the remote control to be able to control it. So the up, down, left, right buttons on it, the A, B, C, D, those will all go back to functioning the way that they had once worked with the mBot. So as you can see, this is an exciting process. I'll clip to the end product once it's finished. All right, so the upload of the firmware update has been completed. So now what happens is I'm able to use the remote control to be able to control the mBot. So if I'm pressing on the buttons, I'll just kind of test it really quick and it continues to work again. So that is perfect, exactly the way I want it to work. Another thing that some people might want to do, for example, is some people might want to control their mBot from within the mBot coding environment. So while it's plugged in via USB cable, what some people sometimes want to do is they want to be able to actually directly control the robot. So if I press the space key right now, it also functions and works. So by updating the firmware, oops, that's just going to run. I'm going to have to make that not just run, so I don't have a stop button programmed. There we go, I've stopped it. By updating the firmware for the remote, it also allows you to code from within the mBot coding environment. If you choose to update the firmware and only select mBot, what that's going to do is you will not be able to control it with the IR remote. So just to clarify how these two different works, I'd personally recommend always just updating for the IR remote, and then we'll reset it back to the factory default and will work exactly the way it had when you first got it, if you want to be able to control directly from within the coding environment live or using the remote. I hope this video is being helpful. Take care.